It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's our goal. Hey, it's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. I'm Tom Papa. How are you? Happy holidays. We can say that now, can't we? That we're past the big fatness of Thanksgiving. I hope it went well for you. Hope you had a good time. My kitchen was popping off. We had a gigantic turkey. Everything went smooth. The only flaw I would say was that we went away for a couple days right after and didn't get to eat any of it. Came back and you look at a bag of turkey and it's like, all right, I guess I can make a sandwich out of this. Oh, but it was good. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. Hope you're eating lots of good things. Even if you're not making good things, you might as well just eat them all. We've got a great show for you today. We have a very funny comedian, Byron Bowers, on the program. He's got a new special streaming on the HBO Max called Spiritual N-Word. Put a little trick in there so certain hosts won't be saying it. GGA, which gives it a little softness, but Spiritual N-Word is very funny. He's a very funny comedian. You're really going to like the conversation that we had. But more than that, you should go and check out his special because it is really good, really thoughtful, and very, very funny. Today's program is brought to you by, oh, look at this, tompapa.com. That's exciting. On the 13th, we have the Come to Papa Christmas special at the Village Underground at the Comedy Cellar in New York City. That's going to be on the 13th. I believe it's up on the website. Also, we've got a bunch of dates coming up. But first, the Netflix special streaming on the Netflix. What a day. The new hour-long special streaming on Netflix starting the same day on the 13th. That's kind of weird. I'll be doing the live Come to Papa while my thing starts streaming. Very exciting. Maybe it's good mojo. Yeah, it seems good. It'll be the holidays and you get to watch a new special and it's going to roll for the next couple of weeks. I think it's good timing. I hope. I think you'll enjoy it. And then the big tour, the 2023 tour is up. We've got Town Hall in New York City. We've got the Paramount in Denver, a whole bunch of shows coming up all through January, February, March. I think we're even out to April and May. So a lot of great dates for the new tour. Whew, can't believe we're already touring a new thing. Very exciting. So go to tompapa.com and look up all of that good stuff. I am traveling around a lot, going to be doing a lot of promo for the special. So I'm going to be, even though I'm not going to be doing that many live theater dates in through December, I will be cranking out some plane trips, which means that the sourdough starters will not be fed as often as I would like. But I will be back baking like crazy, I think, as we get closer. So that's just to say that you don't have to put the pressure on yourself to be making all this stuff. You can't just trot along and eat it all. But I have to say, I will say my early report, I am very conscious that I may double in size this year. I mean, just from Thanksgiving weekend, I literally feel like I may have gained 5 francs. I would say 5 francs. And you know Frank, our pug, he weighs about 10 pounds. And I would say I feel like I've gained, 5 of those in just 4 days. Oh, it'd be good if you could just take a pill and just completely deflate. You could just eat whatever the hell you want. Just take one pill, squeeze it all out, and keep on going. Like I want to go up to Vito's Pizza. My parents are in town. I feel like I should be going and doing that. What kind of animal just goes off and eats pizza the day after Thanksgiving weekend? Only a monster. But I am a monster. And I hope you are too. All right, let's get right to this. This is Byron Bowers. Like I said, the special streaming on the HBO Max. Go check it out and enjoy this conversation. We really get into some cool stuff. He's very funny, very thoughtful, and enjoy. Your special literally looked like a show. Like I was like, oh, maybe he directed and pushed me towards a show that he's doing, and the special Something Different. I didn't realize that your girl was directing it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I realize when you do these things, and I mean you're in this longer than me. Are we on?
Yeah, you're on.
Are we on?
Yeah, you're on.
Oh, I couldn't see myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I realize when we do these things that you need someone that truly believes in you and know your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, she's been a partner of mine, you know, for 6 years now. Bless her soul. So she know me probably better than I know myself at this point.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Can you, or how are you with her telling you about yourself?
You know, something at first you fight it, and then you have to go sit with it. Because I'm realizing, oh, this is how I have to go to the man cave and then be like, am I this way? And it's a discovery, you know. Because I've been married before, and when she say something that the first wife said, I was like, oh, it's me.
Interesting.
So going through that and not having the most relationship, I'm not seasoned in relationships.
Yeah.
Because I didn't date much.
Right.
It's a thing of like, oh, okay, now that's me. What are we gonna do? And then at first, you know, as comedians, we walk around in it. We're like, this is good. I can make so much material about how you know, petty I am, and you know, all these other things you say about me. And then it's like, you know, 6 years in, it's all right, how does this you know, affect the overall journey that we wanna go on?
Yeah. How many things was a repeat from your earlier relationship that she pointed out in the new relationship? Was it like a couple big things?
Yeah, I think it's big because if like my mom wasn't married, so I'm already coming in with not even seeing what a relationship looks like.
Right.
And not even knowing what a true partnership is and these things.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of patience on her thing.
Yeah. On
her side, you know, and I'm like, you know, that wild buck that gotta like, that stallion that gotta be broken down over a while. So, and it's like, do I want to be broken down? Like how deep do I want to go? But I think once we have a common goal, say we have a kid, and you really have to either adapt or, well, I don't know.
Yeah. Know? Well, it's interesting because in a way, her directing you in the special and like working with you creatively, that's a big step on your part, opening up and letting her into that. Yeah. That's not a small thing. Like I've had kids, and I still have a hard time letting my wife in creatively. Like I trust her, but and when she says something, she's always right. Like you said earlier, it's like but I don't see it as right off the bat. No. And like, you know what I mean? We have all of this stuff together, and yet as soon as she comes in and is like, I don't know, you sound like this at this point. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah.
It's nothing like having that now I know I have the dumb face right? When she's talking to me now. And I think the more, I come into relationships now like they got the power. Because I grew up with my mom. Yeah. So to me, a household was already ran by women. Right. By a woman, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's one of the reasons my last relationship had problems, because my ex, the man runs the relationship parts of the relationship that I didn't know about. Right. Make certain decisions that I didn't know about. Right. So it looked like I didn't care. So now I know, like, when she do say things and want to be more inclusive, even if you'd be like, that looks good, and learning how to respond, like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah. When she first she'd be like, hey, should I wear this? And I'd be like, I don't give a fuck. Well, just clothes. We going to the store. Right. Just put it on so we can go to the store and come back. But then it's like, oh, I have to be a part of this decision making. So yeah, it's growth. But it is hard because we would beef on set, and I didn't know you couldn't beef with a director, or should I say a female, how it makes her look. Until she had to break it down and tell me, like, this is what I have to be in control of 150 people, and when you do this, how it affects everything. So,
yeah.
It's a lot because we go like this too strong-willed people.
Yeah. But that can't be done in front of everybody.
But we do. Because she's a redheaded Israeli and I'm a black man from Atlanta. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's two like people like bop bop bop. So when it happens, like it happens. So it's just learning how to communicate better.
Yeah, it's really good. Just to start off the whole conversation, your special's really good.
Thank you.
It really is. And I was thinking the cool thing about it is you're talking about some heavy stuff at times. Like there's some really deep things that you're talking about. Your dad, your own journey, culture, kind of opening up to the universe.
Yep.
The great way at the end of the set with your mom. And those seem like, just saying them out loud, like they're kind of big, heavy things. But you do it in such, your way on stage doesn't change when you're talking about that or you're doing the jokes. Like it's almost like a spoonful of sugar kind of effect.
Oh, that's good.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like let's stop down and do a one-man show. It's you're just funny and you got this nice way about you, and then all of a sudden these things come in and it makes you actually, as someone who's watching, it lingers with you. It like I want to know more about you and your dad and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and it's an unusual thing to be able to do comedically. Did it take you a while to be able to talk about that stuff?
Yeah,
as you were working it out.
Well, even my first two jokes got booed right when I started, and I got booed for months.
Really?
6 months, and then I realized to this day I tell the same jokes. It just took 16 years to learn how to tell the jokes. And you've been in show business a while, so you know the ups and downs that come with it. So every down to me, once I made it past every down, I was stronger. So it's the downs that allow me, and you realize the way we look at failure is different, and just my education in life and being in LA, leaving home and sleeping outside, being stripped of everything, even the regional jokes. The Comedy Store stripped me from the regional jokes, and living in my car stripped me from what people think about me. Because I already left home, and they was like, you shouldn't leave home, and I'm out here. So it's the stripping down and getting to your essence, and then building up from there. Even when I started, I went to Montreal, and everybody seemed like they was tap dancing for the audience, and I felt bad. I called that my prior moment.
Yeah.
And then I just started talking about slavery right there for new faces.
Oh, really?
And then I came back to LA, and then the clubs was like, yo, we like this other Byron. We don't like this edgy, dark. And I was like, I can't perform here. I need to go find myself, so to speak.
Really? That's pretty ballsy at that moment, because new faces from Montreal, for our listeners, I mean, that's kind of a lot of people's first break. And it's like, okay, there's a doorway through comedy that can get you into the rest of show business, and this is one of them. So for you to be to make that decision to change course at that moment where do you think that came from?
Well, my gut is the only reason I stayed in comedy, or the universe was like, this will take you to the promised land. So when I did Montreal, and they was putting me in the writer's room, and I think it's 2 people went to Saturday Night Live. You know, it's almost like a draft. I call it like the NBA draft of stand-up. I just didn't like the path that they were offering me. It's something that within me that was like, this won't be the best version of myself, because I had sacrificed so much already. And I think with anything time in life, once you strip down, like I said, to your bare minimum, then you know how far you're willing to go.
How long were you in comedy at that point?
I think it had to be around 7 and 9 years.
Okay.
7 years I realized I was funny. that I could tell a joke. And I think at 9 I realized I didn't need the jokes no more. I was in the Middle East and I bombed, and I know that sounds, you know, but it happened. I was in Afghanistan.
USO?
Yeah, USO. And it's bad as an American when you bombing on your own soil. And the jokes I had, I was talking about medieval times and all this stuff just wasn't working. And I'm like, oh, I'm reminding people of home. And I was sitting in this barracks, this bomb shelter or whatever, and I was like, you have the tools. You're funny. You funny. So go be funny.
Yeah. And
I went on stage, and everything I experienced in Afghanistan, I talked about, and then I got a standing O. And that was one moment that changed everything. And I got in trouble for this stuff I was talking about because it's observations that I observed that I probably shouldn't have been saying, but the soldiers all felt it, right?
Yeah.
And so I became like a union rep out there, and yeah, man,
they're ready to riot.
They riot, and then I went to the next base, and the command said something like, "Don't do this." And by the time I got to the next base, they was like, "Man, we heard about you." And then I just kept getting into it with command. So at my last show, I just did something light, and then the soldiers got mad.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they was like, we putting our life on the line.
Yeah.
Every day. So you could, you know, do this thing for us.
Yeah.
And I was like, you right. And that was around the time, you know, all this was happening around like Montreal time. This is all around.
This is all the same.
2012.
Right.
And then another key moment is when I did my This Is Not Happening. Yeah. For Comedy Central, and I took all the jokes out because I was shooting a drama, and I landed to do that show, and I was trying to remember the jokes. I knew the story, and I always follow my gut. My instinct was like, don't worry about the jokes. You live the story. Right. Tell the story.
Just tell it.
And it was a game changer because I was at a moment of low self-esteem in comedy because everything, you know, was about relatability. Like Kevin Hart, like I got a family and I got all that, and I just had a moment like, man, I don't have a family. What do I have? Like, this is who I am. I was always doing these Harry Potter jokes and these clever type smart material, but I just was like, I can't relate to nobody. So I'm just gonna talk about why I don't relate to nobody. Right. Father, schizophrenic, drug addict. I remember the first day I saw him smoke crack. Now it's all coming out, the therapeutic stuff. Right. And that's when people was coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Like, that happened to me too, and you know, this and that. And one guy was on heroin when he saw my This Is Not Happening, and he had kids, and he stopped that night.
Jeez.
So I saw how it affected people.
Yeah. So the power of that.
The power of that brute honesty, you know? Yeah. And that's something we have as comics and storytellers. Yeah. You know, so.
But it's again, it's a pretty courageous thing, especially when you're starting out and you're not really established, you're not making money yet, you're struggling to not go and you see what likability gets you or gets certain people.
But I'm on the side where likability also can cause you to kill yourself, if that makes sense. We know guys who get the things and it just doesn't fulfill the thing that people with our traumatic experiences need fulfilled. So then the option comes like, okay, do you want to fight for you know, what you believe in, or do you want to like kill yourself in a beautiful home? You know, so well, basically I'm saying depression and all those things that comes with life. Yeah. And we don't talk about those things, the stigma of those things.
You talk about that in the special.
Yeah.
You talk about when celebrities, and you think they have it all and they don't, and you want to know what was really going on and why weren't you more creative?
And that was based on I was frustrated with this one business woman who was worth $400 million who killed herself. And I was upset because she did it with a scarf. Right. Yeah. It's a true story. So.
Right.
Yeah. Because, you know, if you ever been in that dark place, you always I've been there, and I was like, man, I want to do it. And my sense of humor came from that place,
Mm-hmm.
because the universe was like, do it. You want to kill yourself? Do it.
Really?
If you do it, you're gonna be fucked up at the club in a wheelchair. All the funny, crazy scenarios you go through, because I'm already a failure at this point.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm 18, I'm in college. So the thought of killing myself and just failing at all type of ways, I was coming up with killing myself. My sense of humor was just like
Saving you.
and I was able to laugh at it like out loud.
Right.
So,
man, to be at a place at 18 to be thinking I'm a failure when most people don't even think they've started yet. They're still lacing up their shoes at 18. Was that a product of having to figure out a lot of stuff early that maybe made you feel older at that point?
It's the byproduct of growing up in certain situations and then feeling like your family is cursed type thing.
Yeah.
Right? And then your environment is cursed.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time I already was cutting myself and doing stuff I didn't even know black people did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The butter knife.
With the butter knife. Very embarrassing. Another failure. I used a butter knife to cut myself. And that was the only time I did. I got one cut on my arm.
Good thing it was a butter knife.
Yeah, good thing. And I'm not mad because my lady also has the cuts on her arm. So we trauma bond. You know, we lick each other. You know, but I think and then not knowing how to deal with it. There's no conversation around it.
No.
You know, especially in our community, we don't talk about sadness and depression and those things.
Where was this?
This is growing up in Atlanta,
Atlanta,
Georgia, and I'm from a part of town where you have the blue collar on this side,
mm-hmm.
family blue collar, and then you have the white collar, family white collar on this side, and then the projects to the back. And I'm in the county jail is in my neighborhood, so I'm already outside of these different communities, and then I'll get bused to an upper middle class white school. So it's a lot of like not fitting in,
figuring out where you are,
figuring it out. But I go through the same thing in the career. Like this business is high school all over again.
Yeah, that's life. It never stops.
Yeah,
it never stops.
So now I could navigate it better, but at the time it just wasn't. Then I got dropped off in college. I was the first to go to college, so there's no predecessor. So I found out my homeboys' parents went to college, so they had all the tools of how to survive this thing. Yeah. And this was a totally different world. Right. To get dropped off in a small town, religious school, and no roadmap, no blueprint. Yeah. And I'm failing classes. My basketball thing is not going good. I'm hustling on the side, you know, so I'm living like a triple life over here. Yeah. So I mean, it's a sum of like all those things. And I'm an A/B student too. You are? Yeah. What, in high school, you mean? In high school, yeah. I didn't have to really take senior classes. Right. But like I said, it was really, aside from a counselor, it was nobody there to tell me like, oh, you should graduate at 16, 17. Yeah. And go do these other things. Right. It was a big gap of like emptiness. Jeez. How much of that is, because you stop down at the end and talk about how important your mom was. Yeah. And which was really nice. It was a very heartfelt moment. But then you tell this story about how your dad, he was still in the town, like, because you were aware of him, but he wasn't raising you. How much of he was a major influence, my grandfather and my dad. It was probably some of the most fun times in my life, because it was probably the most stable times in my life. When I was with my dad. Which was? Like 5, 6, right, around those ages, because he had money, he worked, and I never needed or wanted anything, so to speak. Right. And then I got with my mom, who's more of a like struggling person in Atlanta, trying to figure her life out. Like, my parents young, you know. Your kids. Yeah, kid. You don't know that yourself, so no. You have to either have kids or become of age for you to realize, like, man, this person was 19 with with a child.
Yeah.
And this, they didn't have the self-help and stuff we have now.
No, it really is kind of crazy that, like, now if a kid has any utterance of I'm in trouble, there's a lot of people that can swoop in and be like, go talk here,
Yep.
go talk to them, and it's out in the open now. It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't. So like if you're I mean, I can't even understand, like, I take for granted just having people point to you around, or at least just having, like, when it's almost like they put you in a little boat and sent you in the ocean and said, go find land.
Yeah. And you like,
I don't even know how a boat works.
And then what's land?
Right.
That's how I feel. Like, what is land? Like, what is good land?
Yeah.
And why is the ocean so choppy?
And how will I know when I see it?
So yeah, man. But I feel privileged to. I'm realizing that shaped me in a way. Because at 25, a lot of my friends' parents was executives, and my mom wasn't. We got put out when I was 25.
Right.
So I started to see, and I wasn't doing nothing. I was the first to graduate from college, but I wasn't gonna work a job.
Yeah.
So I started to see, like, like, this is a sum of our decision making. Because I went to engineering school, so I could at least see patterns and stuff.
Right.
So I just try to find something that I was good at.
Right.
And figure it out. And I thank God for that, because I had time.
Yeah.
Time is a great thing that we take for granted.
Yeah. I love that part of your special, talking about past, future, present, and seeing the physical act out of that.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
Thank you. That was shrooms. Psychedelics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very important thing. I think I wanted to give everybody, especially my culture, because we are a culture of trauma. And every time we trigger, we go back to the
past,
to that past.
Right.
There's a lot of gaps in that past. So,
yeah,
it's a healing of that, to be able to meditate or take shrooms. Meditate is walking up the mountain. Taking shrooms is taking a helicopter up the mountain. And not having that past on your shoulders. And now you're existing like, wow, look how beautiful this mountain is, and look at the air, and those things we do take for granted, and then having a positive outlook on your past, which is tough to do if you haven't capitalized on it.
What do you mean capitalized on it?
If you're not stuck in it.
Right.
If you're able to look back and, like, I've accomplished college, I've seen the world, you know what I mean? I got damn near 1 million miles on my, flights.
Right. But
I've traveled even not for comedy, and have a chance to sit down and observe everything and take these things home. So if it wasn't for my upbringing, I wouldn't have the outlook that I have now.
Right.
And I would be in a whole different place, for better or for worse.
When you talk about
it's an acceptance.
An acceptance of you as a person.
What I've been through and how far it really kind of catapulted me when I thought it was holding me back.
What did?
The uncomfortableness and stuff like that. It actually allowed me to go see the world. Not having a home, what I figured a home has allowed me on a journey to go find a home.
Right.
And that journey has allowed me to say no to living in places and stuff like that, and going around the world to find that. And realizing that home for me is Earth. The whole place is my home.
Right. Yeah, the connective part of it. Was there, when you're at this point, how old are you when you're on this bit of a journey?
I'm probably like 35, I think.
Right.
Because I didn't really drink and stuff much because of the addict. Been from a family of addicts, from tobacco all the way to like crack cocaine.
Right.
And once I understood addiction, which is I'm not masking anything, I'm experimenting with it to see what it is.
Right.
And I had to be very careful not to use it to hide sadness, or anytime I feel a certain way, be like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And that
fills
takes
that
away.
hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a discipline, right?
Oh man.
So that allowed me to have these experiments, and then I was able to understand my dad more.
Right.
Yeah. A bad trip for 7 hours let me understand what he goes through every day.
Every day. Was he able to, because I have people that I know in my family that had the same struggles, and they were cool for a while, and then it takes over. Was he, when you were like 5, 6 and hanging with him, was he together, or was he dealing with it already?
I don't know. That's the part that shapes my life. Cause he would give me advice like, you can't trust no women out here. They after your money. And he was one of the only few people in town that had a little bit of money. But I don't know whether that was him or not. So that changes everything.
Yeah.
Cause I thought he smoked crack, and it affected his mind. And then as a result of that, he went crazy. But when people say, cause they never talked about it, that he was that way when he was like 18, they started to see signs. Then to me, it's like, oh man, now I could be affected by this thing, and it's not from drugs. And he was trying to suppress it the whole time.
Right.
And he wasn't in a community or a place that allowed him to get help, or they just be like, oh, you know how he is.
Right, exactly.
Versus doing the extra research and, you know.
And when you have that mental problem, those drugs loosen it up. Yeah. And then you're in a place where few people come back. It's
tough to come back. Imagine if you was paranoid that people was trying to poison you, and the only way to get help is for people to give you medicine. Right. That's tough already. Yeah. That's a tough existence. Yeah. And you know, everything else compounds with that. When you and I had to learn how to go with him after my bad trip. I remember telling my grandmother, we was wrong. Everything he experienced is real. Because he believes it, and if he believes it, that means it's real to him. Right. So I would have to go into his world with him, and you will have a normal conversation, and he'll take a left. Right. Right. And he was like, and then I have to like I would push my emotion down. He was like, yeah, I was on the bus today, man. I seen I was looking at this lady who I know, and I think I've been with her before, and she was sitting next to a kid, and he looked just like me. And he was like, that's my son. I got to go take care of my son. Oh, man. And I almost cried. Yeah. And I had to push it down because I saw him make a sacrifice for somebody else that I might have lost out on. Right. So I was like, I remember my voice getting shaky and stuff, and then I pushed it down. They have to be in this world with him. What did he look like? Oh, man, that could have been your son. What are we going to do to help you get to him? And then when we get off the phone, I would have to decompress for like 30 minutes. Oh, yeah. At least. Yep. At least. So you could either pay for improv classes or hang out with schizophrenics. You know? It's so... People be like, man, you kind of natural at acting. How you pick that up? So when you're from 18 to 35... was there anybody that was a bit of a mentor? Was there anybody who... I mean, the universe put so many people in my life. A friend of mine, Adrian, her son, mother, I accused her of being a drug dealer because she was making moves I ain't never seen. And she started a company, like a Head Start program or something to give kids grant money from early development to help educate the youth. And she gave me a book to read. She was like, I'm not a drug dealer. I just think differently. I've educated myself and changed my thought process. So she gave me a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and another book. And I read those books, and my mind slowly started to change to the point I was reading Brian Tracy and Tony Robbins by the time I was 22, and I'm making all these. My homeboy, we would bootleg all these CDs.
Right.
That's how we made money, right?
Yeah.
So I would bootleg the time, like, give me the Tony Robbins stuff. So I would get the street version of bootleg version of all the Tony Robbins discs. Any program he came out with, right?
Yeah.
And then I would try to push these to people.
Nice.
Especially family and stuff like that, because by this time I'm out trying to live my dream and stuff and not accepting anything.
Right.
And I'm like, you can have it too, you know?
Yeah.
So that was just one.
That's huge though.
That's a huge stepping stone.
Yeah.
But it always been these, I call them like angels, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like I've been walking down the street and people, the first time I was seeing homeless people and people would ignore them. And then they would say something to me. They'd be like, you know, asking people for change. And they'd be like, hey, go to the left down the street. And I would do that, and then I would end up in a better place. So it's always been these hints. But I think if you're in tune and aware, like if you're in tune to your instincts and aware, those things have helped me the most. Because the signs are there.
It's out there. But there's got to be some spark inside of you that's looking to save yourself. Right?
Save yourself or others. Because after a while, you know it's others like you.
Right.
Right? And you're like, oh, I need to do this for them. So sometimes I go deeper in show business because of that.
Yeah. But at the early part, you're probably not thinking about others.
Well, no, not at first, because you living on the street yourself. And when I hit bottom, it was like ask for help. It's something I never did, because when I did it when I was young, I got in trouble for asking for help. So, you know, I did ask for help. I think I was in a coffee. I used to sleep on Hollywood Boulevard in my car, and I seen Neil Brennan in the Coffee Bean, and I was like, hey man, I ain't got no place to stay. And he was like, oh, I'm renting a little spot in the hills. Come, you got 2 days, you can stay up there. And then that turned to sleeping on this couch and that couch. So it was definitely a community of like, you know, everybody that believed in you. It was like a few of us just on couches, because it was 08 and 09.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
good timing.
I mean, anytime you want to move to a city, go when it's at rock bottom.
Right, when the entire economy collapses.
Yeah, nobody can get a haircut or nothing. We all figuring it out, you know.
What part, Byron, did comedy pop into your head?
When I was in junior high school, my mom put a disc on my desk, Martin Lawrence talking shit, and I listened to it. I never heard nothing like that before, and I would listen to it at night before I went to sleep. And then this whole Def Jam thing started, and by the time that happened, that's where my personality came from. As far as making people laugh, and I went from being bullied to becoming a bully. I could talk trash about anybody. I could go against 3 people, you know what I mean? And then I also started playing sports. I became an athlete also, which is weird, because I would be in classes. I used to get kicked out of these schools, and this is show you the difference in education in certain communities. In my neighborhood, I would get kicked out of schools for getting into it with the teachers or whatever. And then I got sent to a mixed school, and I took a standardized test, and I excelled in math and English. And they took me out of my class of like all majority of black people into a class where it was only 5 of us. And that's another moment that changed everything, because it took me from going to school in my neighborhood to an upper middle class area where I'm seeing like BMWs for the first. I'm a car guy, so I'm seeing the first 740 IL, and these yards with like beautiful grass and all these things that look attainable. To me, and you get used to seeing that, and you believe that you could live like this. So that's another defining moment, you know.
No,
if that answer the questions, but
just seeing the world.
Just seeing a different part of the world, and the food was different. And I remember going to my homeschool and like, damn, this is what y'all eating? And you know, the books we would read. And I didn't take fully advantage of this, because on the weekends it was, I guess, CEOs or or bankers, investors that were parents of the students. They would actually teach investing and stuff on the weekend.
Right.
And during those times, and it's like, man, we had access to all of these things that we didn't know about.
Yeah.
And we still do. We just not open to it. So, and then I would have to go back home and worry about somebody stealing my books, and because they didn't have books at the school,
right,
homeschool and stuff like that.
Right.
That we had.
God, it's amazing what just the exposure, like, man. It's like, it's like it literally is a different planet.
Yeah.
A different planet.
And like I said, I'm in this one community. I got people over here, I got people over here, and I got people, the project behind me.
Yeah.
And my homeboy said it was a blessing because I was able to bounce around all these different communities.
Yeah, you're like a little sociologist.
Yeah, I was weird. I was weird to everybody though.
Yeah.
But I'm soaking in everything. Like I would be in the hood and they'd be smoking they'd be rolling weed, and I would read the magazine they rolling weed on. It'd be like a National Geographic or anything, and I'm just looking at the photos.
Right.
And that was my first time to like mentally like travel. Like, oh, I want to go here, I want to go there, and I would just imagine myself in these places.
Right.
Know? So.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you.
And then they would be like, "Fix my computer," because I would fix hustlers' computers.
Yeah.
Because I went to engineering school.
Yeah.
Hence the bootleg and then the P2P networks and all that stuff.
It's pretty crazy because there is a thing about you in your stand-up where you don't really know where you came from until you say it. But there's like a it makes sense now that you're talking about this being in all these different places, because you do seem like you're from a bunch of different places.
But that's the thing, now that you mention it, the pattern of like, oh, I need to find a home. In life, the journey of finding a home.
Yeah.
So
when you talk in the special about having this experience with mushrooms, and the biggest thing which I'm hearing in the culture a lot is when people experiment with mushrooms on some level, a big thing is that the anxiety goes away.
Yeah. It makes you present, depending on how you do it and who you are. So when you're present, you're not thinking about the future, right?
Yeah.
And you're not thinking about the past. And it's crazy with mushrooms because it opens your third eye, right? So it's just making more aware of stuff that's in front of you. You do this all the time. If you make real good love, or if you do them last 3 pumps, you're present. You don't think about, oh shit, I ain't wear no condom or nothing until after you finish. But you feel good, you present, and you're in tune with what's going on right now. And when you make love, it's the same thing. If you ever have the experience, which took me a long time to really like do, because I had a situation when I was 10 that robbed me of trustful like sexual experience. Yeah, you mentioned that in the special. Yeah, I just mentioned it, but I didn't go into it because I didn't realize the effects of it until the relationship I'm in now. Which is still a thing in the world. When a boy has something happen to him, the reaction is good for you. Yeah. A woman fooled around with you when you were 10? Yeah. Hey. But I still don't know how to take it, but I do know, because I'm in a loving relationship, hey baby, that it is some intimacy walls there. Yeah, of course. And to this day, I don't like teenage girls. Right. I don't trust them. Like, if I shy away from them like black people just walk away from black cats. I don't like looking at them. It's something in their eyes I don't trust, so I know it's something. How old was she? I just know it's something there. Well, I thought she was older. Yeah, she is older. She was older. She was older. Yeah. Right. So why the teenage girl thing? Because it's like a early, got a 14, 13 year old. Oh, right. You were 10. She was a teen. Oh, okay. Oh, you thinking like 18 and all that? Yeah, I thought she was like grown. Wow. That would have been a whole different experience, I think.
Yeah, because then you would have had to be leery of
all
the women that that you'll ever run into.
I think it was a thing of like the adolescence of a young lady, and I don't know what they experienced during those times, because their body go through changes themselves. So, but regardless, I definitely know something is up. And then it's one of those traumatic experiences where you question, like, did that really happen? And like I could see it, and I know what it sound like, and I know what it's like the sensory of it. But then it's like, you know,
did it really?
Yeah, did it really?
Right.
Why is it so detailed?
Yeah.
Because I remember I told my mom, she's like, that didn't happen. And I was like, oh shit, this is what the ladies be going through.
Yeah.
I'm slapping the table. Don't tell me it didn't happen.
Oh really?
Yeah. Nice restaurant too.
Oh really?
That's a good thing about being successful. And when you going through the struggle, you can't process emotion, because hunger is the only thing you feel. But once you start being able to like afford Starbucks every day, 'cause when you broke, you got simple dreams. Like, man, I just want a new pair of drawers. You could tell I was broke. I got like 5 new pair of drawers in the drawer, and since COVID, I can't fit none of them. And I was like, dang, you know, I'm a large now. But you be able to have get triggered and have traumatic experience in beautiful places. I got in an argument with my lady in Italy, and she was like, yeah. And I'm looking outside like, man, I'm in Italy right now.
Yeah.
This is cool. I worked hard to get, you know how hard you got to work to get cussed out by your lady in another country? See the closets in the hotel room? Come on, people. We living life out here. But I'm like, people have these experiences every day. That's why it's trippy to me. Some people don't even know the other side, because they grew up in the nice things, and then they just have their arguments normally. But so when you didn't, sometimes you take a step back and be like, wow, this is crazy.
No, the thing that popped in my head when you're talking about going through that at 10, and then you have to process, your whole life you have to kind of process this.
You have to lie and pretend you're a virgin. What's the who does that?
Right.
All throughout high school.
And then you take a step back and you realize that like 80% of the girls have something in their past,
yeah,
where someone messed with something. So think about the number of women that have to deal with that. It's such an ongoing thing.
And you don't know the circle of it, because if it happens to them, they might do it to a young. It's a thing like, nice guy meets a bitch, become a bad dude, meet a nice girl, fuck her over, she become a bitch. It's like a circle. Right. It's like a circle, right?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how these things, and then with women, like especially, you know, back in the day when you hear these stories, like I had to hear these ladies' stories, because I got a lot of female cousins in my family, and I'm like, yeah. And that's when race don't matter. That's when you like, man, I'm a dude. You know, thank God I'm a dude. If you're allowed to say that. That's how I be on the inside.
Right.
Yeesh.
What was the order that you said when you said how you consider yourself? It was spiritual first, right? Man, human, man, black. Now it's so much though. Comedian, it's so much fit in there that doesn't evolve. Sure. Straight
race or straight male, you know, like, but having like a human experience. Like I was telling somebody earlier, I can be at a Black Lives Matter rally, but if I'm hungry, like that's a human experience.
Right.
You know what I mean? I will bite your hand off. I don't care if you black, white, you know.
I'm just a hungry man.
If I see a cop and she got some nice titties, she could be Latina, and I'm gonna be like, hey, you know, this ain't got nothing to do with you. It's for the other cops. So I mean, that's the male version taking over, and the hunger is the human version taking over. And you've experienced that before, ladies and gentlemen. If you ever shitted on yourself, you've had a human experience.
Right.
Everything else that's going on goes out of the window.
Right.
And
right.
then you have the straight panic and anxiety of like, oh, like when you clinch that triple clinch. And he's like, all right, well, I need clothes. What I need? Like, I need to find a bathroom. Like, so.
Right.
That's why I said shrooms just heighten certain patterns and stuff that we have. And then you humanize it almost, or you realize like, oh, we've all experienced this thing.
Right.
You don't have to be a black person to experience disrespect from the government. We know that.
Right.
You know, we know that now. So, not all of us might not be aware of that. But like me traveling to other countries and seeing racism in other countries made me realize how privileged we was as Americans.
How
it
so?
Was crazy.
From where?
I was in the DR and a Haitian dude was asking me for money, and I was like, man, I ain't coming here for all that. I remember saying that. I was like, I'm here with my homeboys. We came to eat, drink. And he was like, I get it. He was like, you from America? I was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, police, they fuck with us too over here. He was like, I got the scars. He was showing me his scars. And he was like, the only difference is over there, y'all got a chance. And I was like, hey man, here go, take this $5. Because that was a life-changing like outlook. Yeah. Because looking at America from the outside, you realize some things about yourself. One, you're an American. I don't care what you think you is. When you go to like certain countries and you pull out that blue passport and they look at you a certain way, I knew that we've done some things in that country. And I was like, oh shit, I'm the white man over here. Right. That's how trippy things get that we don't know about. Yeah. And how privileged we are, no matter even if you're poor in this country, you're not worldly poor. We have a lot of privilege and stuff that other countries don't have. And in America, one idea could change your whole life. Yeah. And your family's life for at least 3 generations.
Yeah. That guy here gets a Tony Robbins bootleg in his country. How much help is it?
That is true.
Right? Like, you started to hustle, you started to find a way.
Yeah, I mean, just think, being in Cali, I remember the first time I sold a script. I was like, oh, I gotta call a drug dealer and be like, hey, they just gave me a few kilos for nothing.
For words.
I didn't have to fly nothing across town and take no chances.
My heart never raced.
I understood, because before I was doing comedy, but then the pandemic happened, and then I just started moving and stuff, nothing, and I turned it into something. Yeah. And I was like, this what this city is. Right. It's a bunch of hustlers.
That's right.
It's doing all type of, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. So that's what I mean by turning some misfortunes into fortunes, and then you meet people that did it on a bigger scale. So.
Well, where are you at this moment then? Because you've had some success. This special comes out. It's really well received. Like, you see like what you're able to do. Yeah. What's it done to your head at this point? Does it make you think, all right, now we're not going to stop? Or is it?
Now it's like, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
Because I was filming a show in Baltimore for 9 months. So I had comedy stripped from me. Right. I had a way of life stripped from me. I had the essence of LA, like seeing the mountains and that stripped from me. So I took a dive mentally, and I had to come out of there and work through that this year and be isolated. Me and my lady, you know, we all, because she was directing the show and I'm in the show. So she was tested at work and tested at home. Right. You know, and vice versa. So, and we made it through stronger, and it made us tighter. You know, we already came from a pandemic. Yeah. You know. You
were together?
Yeah, we was together. We lived together through that. So, and then we came through this, and then it just made
Which was harder?
This was harder.
This was harder?
Yeah. This was harder because it's stuff that I didn't know that she was, the empathy wasn't there enough for me to do my job, what she needed me for. And I was like, and I wasn't aware. Right. Either. Right. Because I was caught up in my own thing. So it's something like, you got a decision to make at that point, especially because I got baby fever now and I want a kid. And all these things are going to affect that when it comes to like teamwork.
Yeah.
And this is a long haul
Mm-hmm.
thing, you know what I mean? So,
tell me about baby fever.
I seen a girl one day. She was pretty.
Uh-huh.
And she was walking down the street, and then she had a kid with her, and the kid turned, and I was like, man, that's a cute baby. And I was like, what the fuck? Because I never liked the word cute and all that stuff. So when I said it, I was like, oh, and I jumped back. I ain't even looking at her no more.
Right.
And wherever I was, I remember sitting down.
Yeah.
And like, what is going on?
What's wrong with me?
Yeah, I never. And I was like, mind you, maybe a year or two before, I met this lady and I had a one-night stand.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the next morning, I was sitting in the parking lot like, I wonder what our kids will look like. I'm gonna introduce her to my mama. And this stuff I would hear women like say, right? And I'm like, man, I'm tripping. And I was like, I give you 2 weeks to go down this wormhole. And I'm calling her and she dissing me and all this stuff. And I was like, man, this is terrible. You're in a very weird place. You're doing bad. And I was like, so this is cool. This is a human experience. Like
Right.
people go through this in high school.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I get a chance to go through this. So when I saw the baby and it was cute, I didn't have a California license. I ain't had no credit. I ain't have nothing. And then I still drove coupes. And then I think within 2 weeks I had a California license. And then within 6 months, I think my credit was like 500. Within 6 months, it was like 740. And then I had my first 4-door car.
Yeah.
So I was already.
You're already.
Yeah, I'm like, cause you gotta think.
You're smoking a pipe.
Well, you meet somebody in a situation.
Yeah.
And you want to be. I always think you want to meet somebody on a journey.
Yeah.
Versus, because I already had a failed, relationship, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
So, and then I think something was like, you gonna have a girlfriend soon. And I think it was 3 years after that when I met my lady that I have now.
Yeah. And now you've been together 6 years?
6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is she have baby fever?
Yeah. We talked about it the first date.
Mm.
And I didn't back down.
I did
Because
that.
I wanted some action. So I just wanted to see where this was going to go. You know what I mean?
I did that with my wife. I just immediately started talking about babies.
Wow.
And it freaked her out. She was like, she just started drinking. She was like, where are you coming? But I just knew. I was like, yeah, no, we can make babies.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it just came, it's just like naturally.
Yeah, it just came out. We're just having a drink at the bar. And I'm like,
How did you know though?
I don't know. Chemistry. We also had like it was a comfort level. We had the shared history that we didn't know about.
Wow.
Where we went to the same kindergarten, and then I moved in 3rd grade, and we were just 1 year apart. So we had all this common. We knew the same people. We knew that kind of upbringing. We just had all this together. And I was just like, it was a St. Patrick's Day. And I was like,
whoa,
you're going to have my babies. And she was like doing shots. What are you talking about?
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met mine on the app. And she was supposed to meet me like on a Saturday. Then Friday, I'm at the Comedy Store and she texts me. Like we texting back and forth for like a few months. And we just cut communication. Then we started back up and she was like, oh, I'm down the street. I'm with like 4 of my gay friends. We want to come over to see you do stand-up. And I'm with a homeboy. Shout out to Matt. I ain't seen Matt in 8 years at this point since I left Atlanta. He went to the Navy. So he's fresh off a boat.
Oh, God.
And he come to town to party, and I'm with Matt, and she show up. Long story short, I'm like, Matt, look, man, I'm going to catch you later. And we went to, we ended up going to Alcove and eating dessert. And that's when all the conversation came up. And she was just, like, in my ass about my set.
Oh, really?
Like, and you in L.A., right?
Yeah.
You in a city where everything is passive aggressive and we love everybody. Yeah. And then it's really like, so, you know what I mean? And then it was just, we started on that.
Criticizing.
And I'm leaning forward. And she was like, you ain't no Trump supporter, are you? And I was like, what difference does that make? And she was like, she was that, you know what I mean? She was an activist and everything.
She was analyzing everything and not letting you off the hook.
Yeah, so, and then it was just on. And I told her that night, I was like, you know, I'm scared. Something you really never say, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you seem like the person that could really break my heart, but something is saying, like, just kick it. And if there's anybody gonna do it, I'd rather it be you. That's what my instincts are telling me.
Yeah. And
it was like, yeesh. Why did I say that? But everything was so honest anyway, up to that point.
Yeah.
And then it was just on. And 3 months into our dating, because we all got mutual friends that I didn't know. And I told her I was in Japan, and she was like, "Hey, did you make a video while you was in Japan?" She was like, "I was supposed to come to Japan." And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "What was the video? Was you was with another black dude?" I was like, "Yeah, my cousin." And we was like, just, you know, 2016 gonna be the best year ever. And she was like, "Oh, that was corny." She was like, "I seen that video. I was supposed to come to Japan, and I was seeing that video, and I was like, nah." Oh, no. And she went to New York, and I was like, yeah. I'm like, man, I'm glad you didn't go, because we was doing debauchery over in Japan. And you talk about moments.
Yeah.
That's moments where if our paths would have crossed then, it wouldn't have.
Right. It would have ruined everything.
But then we met later, and we still laugh about that situation.
Do you live together?
Yep.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have a baby.
One of the I think, yeah, it's very dope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, women, a good woman, from my understanding, can triple your worth. Right? Like my diets, the diets together. You know, I never really ate salads and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't like all the sauce and stuff, but you know, her being from the Middle East, they make fresh salads with no dressing. They use like olive oil, lemon, and sprinkle salt on it.
Yeah.
So it just changed like my diet and my way of life, but the vibe. We both want the same household, spiritual vibe in the house.
Oh, nice.
And she's able to create that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's great. Let me ask you, when you say change your diet, what were you eating as a kid?
As a kid, here's the thing, because my grandfather and grandmother had farm, or they grew vegetables and everything at the house. Peanuts. They made wine from the muscadine vine. I mean, squash, collard greens. They had eggs from chickens, hunting dogs. We would fish on the weekends.
Wow.
Watermelon. So the universe or the granddad provided everything, because that was the farmer generation. They dropped out of school to farm.
Right.
And on less than an acre of land, he grew everything.
All that.
And the excess would go to the neighbors. He would fish. He'd catch 18 fish. We would cook it right there on the spot, and the excess went to the neighbors.
Amazing.
So that was and made cream corn from scratch, and all these things you don't even you take for granted, don't even know.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to my mom, it was just like halt everything. You don't know at the time. Mama young, you just pop that can. You know, and then my mom would find ways to get us food. Like she had a hookup at the steakhouse. So we were eating steak. She taught us how to make rice. And we just had a trashy food. Right. Like snacks, and like the snacks that you would want. You know, we had decent stuff though. You know, I ain't going in front. But then I went, you go to colleges, all fried food and stuff like that. And then you get your soul food. Right. But then before I left, I stopped eating soul food. Because everybody in my family had some type of, you know, blood pressure problem and stuff. Right. And my body was just over it. So I would eat rice. You could feel it. And gravy at Thanksgiving. And they'd be like, "You must like Chinese food," so my diet changed already. And then when I got to LA, it was just whatever I could afford, which would be like cheese and the burrito wrap. Right. And I'm just cooking that on the stove. And I remember looking at homeless dude eating Whole Foods, and I'd be mad. Right. Yeah, I had $5. I can get a burger now. I can get a burger later and a big ass drink, and make it last until I get to the comedy club. You know, we had all these ways of surviving. And then And then I got to a point where I would eat foods again, but it was still like, it wasn't like now. When somebody's in your ear. I never got blood tests done.
Right.
So I'm with my lady, and it's like something we could do together. And I'm like, all right.
Great.
Yeah. These are the things when you become like adults that you do with your lady. Like he met his lady, she pounding shots, and now it's like looking at results together. Right,
exactly.
Making adjustments, getting the vitamin orders in.
Picking each other up after your colonoscopy.
Oh yeah, that gotta be, So I'm getting the dog results last night. Cause I'm technical, and we had an issue with the dog, and I diagnosed the dog.
What do you mean?
The dog had issues, and I told her I was gonna take a day that I was off and research the issues the dog was having. And I looked at all the dog's charts, and all the vets in Baltimore just doing a runaround. They do the same tests and give a charge like $800 and be like, let's just watch it for a few weeks. I'm like, we can't keep doing this. So I read all her notes from like I think 2012 or something. And this is just the engineering part of me, and I'm going online and I'm looking at all of the symptoms that she's had. Yeah. And I just started finding the common denominator, and I took all the fat out of her diet. Cause she was having diarrhea and she was throwing up, she was lethargic. And once I did that, she started to feel better. Really? Right? And I'm giving her certain probiotics, and I'm giving her a bland diet, and I'm switching the diet, but you gotta have a prescription for this food now. Right. That I'm giving her. And so they got it, and then just recently, she came, when we moved back to LA officially, she took her to the vet, and then they was like, oh yeah, she got chronic pancreatitis. And they said, just keep on the food that you did. You're already doing it. So, whatever weakness I am in a relationship, that's a strength when you could save your lady's thing that she loves. Yeah. You know what that sounds like? What? A dad. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, because I looked at it like, imagine if it was your kid. Yeah. And it's a racket. Yeah. To me, some of these hospitals and the way these things work. And I'm like, man, I can't lean on them. How am I going to lean on them and then give this news to my lady that the bad medicine made her dog die? Yeah. I already had to tell a parent that their child died before. That's tough. So I just went and did it. And I was like, I'd rather put it on my shoulders than, Oh, and you did it. Yeah. And you don't want to hear your lady mouth, crying and all that shit. Yeah. Man, your grandparents, the picture you just painted of that 1 acres. Man, it was heavenly. It was beautiful. Pecan. I mean, food fell from the trees. Yeah. These things you take. I mean, we walk outside and we play, and when we hungry, we grab 2 pecans with our hands and pop. And you just doing this in the yard talking. You know what I mean? You go in and get grapes off the thing, and you get older, and the way food is now, and then they overcharge for farm to table. Now I got a name. Right, exactly. Yeah, now farm to table, you're gonna have to pay. Yeah, so I mean, I've been blessed to have some of this life, and that's in Athens, Georgia, and then move to the city and have the city life, and still be anchored and rooted in a lot of those things. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So. No, it's a big thing. Joey, are you here? Yeah. Where are you? Yeah. I gotta check. Will you hurry up, Joey? Thank you. Yeah. You're the best. All right, normally I would bake you bread. Uh-oh. But I've been on the road. I literally just got home. And this is my favorite bread in Los Angeles. Okay. This is Lodge bread. Well, at least it's the favorite, This is for you. Wow. That is, you and your lady will love that. Wow, look. That's an olive loaf. So if she's Israeli, she's really gonna love that. Oh yeah, she's gonna love this. You know what else she will love? Is this Jerusalem bagel. How did you know? I didn't know. Wow. It was all they had left. How the universe works sometimes. You see that? Yeah. Yeah, this is a Jerusalem bagel. So you bring these home, and I will bake you bread and I will see you at the Comedy Store or wherever we
meet up,
cross paths.
because I bake bread like this, but again, I've just been gone for so long.
This is these are the things you get exposed to when you don't, grow up eating bread. Your bread come in plastic and already sliced.
Well, we all did. There was a time when bread really kind of went off and it was just nothing but chemicals, and now people have brought back pure bread without anything in it, and it just makes you feel so much better. So that's a gift to you.
Oh, also, for those who don't know, you know this.
Yeah.
But in Europe, it's at least 10,000 chemicals we have in our food that's illegal over there.
Yeah.
So you could eat whatever you want and still not gain a weight, or it won't affect you in the way it does here.
That's right.
And seeing this bread and the practices that he's doing is a part of nurturing the soul.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've been to Jerusalem, and they definitely have bread like this, and they got 1,000 cheeses that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
Wet cheese, dry cheese.
We really should add cheese into this for sure.
Now, how do I just cut it? Now I gotta learn how to eat.
You could just slice it.
Jerusalem bread, you could lick the middle of it till all the seeds come off.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. That's the dirt.
Now you're on the road right now, so you're in a hotel?
Back. Well, no, I'm back.
Oh, you're back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm back. So it's good to be home.
Okay, good. So
and next week when I leave, I'm on the island. I'm in my vacation time.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so
can I take this? Do this travel on planes? It's not one of those.
you could travel.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. You have a good knife? You have a nice serrated knife?
Yeah.
You just slice that. You're going to be able to eat that for the rest of the week. This is olive. My favorite way of eating this, straight toaster with butter, is going to be great.
The best? Okay.
Cream cheese. Do you like cream cheese?
It don't like me.
Oh, don't like you. All right. Well, I like putting cream cheese on it. Maybe she likes it.
Butter, and I would do the butter.
Yeah. Just toast it. You'll be in heaven.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's great spending time with you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
This is very therapeutic and fun.
Yeah, really fun. And I'm excited to see what you're going to do next, because that special was to come right out of the gate like that was and people can watch it on Hulu because it was on FX
and Disney if you're in Europe. Ain't that crazy? They'll put a nigga on Disney.
Was that Big Mike in the audience?
Killer Mike?
Yes.
Rather? Killer Mike, Susan Sarandon, and Shay Bigger, his wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was trippy.
Yeah.
That was trippy.
He's great. How did you? Was that just the Georgia connection?
I forgot how we met, but he's a very solid person.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you meet people, you connect to them right away, and their belief system. He got an old soul that reminds me of like my grandfather and somebody with morals and conviction and the stuff they talk about. So that's where like the respect and stuff came from. And I still want to find something for us to do together.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
that would be great.
So, Mike, anything you need,
because you don't say it during the special or anything. You just see him kind of like laughing and then shake. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he like kind of shook your hand. I was like, yeah, I think it is.
Yeah,
it's him. The coolest.
Yeah. So he's a car guy also. He does.
Oh, yeah.
He does a father. I mean, he wears so many hats.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that's amazing to see. Like, how do you give your energy to all these things? He's an activist, like a very active.
Yeah.
Intelligent, hyper intelligent person.
Yeah, he's a force.
Yeah,
just a force. I remember him coming out a couple times and speaking politically, and it was like, it's kind of summed up everything that was happening at the moment. It was like,
I can't do that.
Yeah, no, we tell jokes.
I know. And I think, well, this is for the culture, but I don't think we rely a lot on entertainers to be leaders, and we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's a problem because politics and news has become entertainment. So that means entertainers become newsmakers and politicians. So it's like this weird crossover.
Yeah, but it makes it easier to get rid of the voice to me. Without getting too deep in it.
Yeah.
But we should move like some of the other coaches where it's quiet, like it is now.
Yeah.
But that's not to be talked about here.
What do you mean?
I think it's ways of grooming leaders like everybody else do, and have them do that, and then you probably could fund them that way.
Yeah.
That way you could still be over here doing your thing, and you know, they won't catch you on no scandal over here. You got to make sure this guy's clean.
Yeah.
You know, it's like leverage, how people do their portfolios, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it can happen. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be interesting to see where it all goes, because you do have this all now. Everything's supposed to be entertainment, and we have, you know, people that from TV shows becoming presidents, and you know, but then you have other people that just emerge the other way, and people get tired of it too.
It's fun and games when everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
But some countries, people are old war people. And that's where the problem come in. You can't tap dance your way out these missiles.
Right.
When that button press, you over there doing all that talking. This guy's like,
yeah.
But, you know, it's human nature.
Yeah. Well, keep exploring. It was
you.
really nice that you shared your story with us, because it is, you've been on some journey, and it's nice to see you kind of locked in, and I think it seems like it's going to be all good things from this point
I only
out.
can go so far, but you know, I think you're definitely further than me on the journey. So it's guys like you know, books, TV shows, that's done a bunch of things that I have to like. It allows us to see like it's so much more that could be done, where you ain't got to be in no Ramada on Friday all the time. You know, especially like. Me having a kid and working with like Chappelle definitely changed my outlook on how, you know, I should do this thing. Yeah. Because if I have a kid and it's become 10 years old, I want to go to a game.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
You know, so I want to go to the art, fly to see my child perform art. Yeah. Instead of being, you know, doing a spot.
Yeah, no, I know. You know, it's balance. It's all balance.
We fought so hard to get a spot. Ain't this crazy moving for a spot?
I know. Like, but truth be told, then you squeeze it in. Then you go see you're on your way to doing a spot. It's like, it's a balance. Yeah. But really, all good things. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We got it, Aaron. There you have it, kids. There's Byron Bowers. I told you he was a good guy. Very funny. Go check out the special Spiritual N-Word streaming on HBO Max right now, and look for him doing live dates. He is a really good comedian, and you should go check him out. Go to tompapa.com, look up all of the good stuff. We've got the new Netflix special coming out on the 13th, and we've got the live Come to Papa at the Village Underground on the 13th in New York City, and then the whole 2023 tour up on sale now. Thank you so much for listening. Go eat some good stuff, and we'll see you soon.